So the first story will be of a great company.
People usually think that starting a startup is all about creating a product. The trade war was created as an opportunity for India to increase its export to the US.
This is a story about the first Easter egg ever put it in a game.
It is the story of how Adidas and Puma got created. Hey everyone, welcome to the RoboSapien podcast. Aabhar, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so today we don't have a guest like most of the episodes, but today we are going to talk about all the, things that inspired us to start this podcast, why we got into talking about businesses, even though we are just some college graduates from tech industry.
And whatever the stories which we heard and got inspired to start a startup and got into this environment, we would like to share those stories with you. So coming with those stories, today's episode is gonna be a story time. We'll share many stories with you guys about how a small startup got into the big leagues and many more stories like that.
I think most people must be expecting a guest today, like most of the episode. But sorry guys, it's just us. So
Today's gonna be a duo episode. Yeah, where we sit and talk to each other and tell each other the stories. And absolutely, the twist in this episode is we haven't talked to each other about the stories. These stories are very new to us as it is to you guys. So it's gonna be great.
So let's get started.
So Aabhas, do you know what's gonna be the first story for today?
Not exactly, because you're gonna tell me the story.
So the first story will be of a great company, which is Airbnb. I hope everyone has heard about it. If not, please do check out, because it's a great platform which provides us with a living place. Wherever we go, wherever we travel, they provide us a place to stay. And whenever we travel, we all have the travel stories, and wherever we travel, whenever we travel, we always want to live in a good place, and the place where we stay plays a very important part in traveling.
I think everybody has the different story of staying at different places. Some stays at a hostel, some places like hotels. But there are a specific type of people like us who like to stay at, Airbnbs, because every Airbnb has their own story. You get to interact with the people who build the place. It's a different kind of experience, and it actually helps you, not feel homesick when you are away from your home.
Absolutely. So let's get started with the story. So the story of Airbnb starts from a very small startup. They started the startup by selling the mattresses. A person can log into their website and rent out a mattress for themselves. They put it on rent, as most people who live in other cities does not have the facility of a bed, and it is costly. So they started with the mattresses. They found out that this was the problem, and they started with the mattresses. But sooner they evolved. They first started with the mattresses, then they found out there was one more issue, that whenever there was a conference in any state or country, there was shortage of hotels. I'll just give an example, that at my friend's office, they were going to a trip to Germany. There was a conference, so he got invited by his company. So when he was going to Germany, they found out that there was shortage of hotels, and it is a recent event. In the recent events, one hotel room was for around 1 lakh Indian rupees for one night.
Oh my God. They're just ripping us off, I think they are just trying to rip us off. Like, you guys are Indian, we are gonna charge more than from you.
Yeah, exactly. Because there was the dependency, and there was the need for the hotel rooms, as there was a event there in Germany. So that's why the prices were so high. And Airbnb at their time, they identified it, and they rented out their own space at their wherever they were living. Like, let's suppose I'm living in Bangalore, I have a home there, and if there's a conference in Bangalore, I will rent out a space of my own to other people to live in. And that's what Airbnb does right now. They started with renting out only their one BHK room, and they evolved, they acquired more spaces, and they rented out them also. It really hyped up. Like, they were providing something which was really crucial for people. So it hyped up. It does not changed overnight. It does not get so big. Airbnb does not get so big overnight, but gradually they increased. First, they had their own spaces which they rent out. Okay, but then gradually, what they changed their model, they pivoted around, and what they got was they got people who can rent out their own spaces in their website and in their apps, which they does right now. And the owners rent their spaces out. Airbnb takes some portion of it, and whatever the other portion of money, it goes to the owner as they are renting out the space. Airbnb today also have the rating system through which you can identify which room is good, which is not, and even the guests have the ratings.
Yeah, I think these things evolve throughout time. I don't think they had the idea to provide rating and giving all these features. These came out slowly and gradually as soon as they figure out the problems, right? So I think the key intake from this particular story is that you can fix on one problem for once, and then you can keep exploring as soon as the problems come. People usually think that starting a startup is all about creating a product, putting it into market, and people buying it and all that stuff, but it is not that. It is problem solving. It is basic problem solving. You figure out a problem that is really close to your heart, something that most people ignore, or most people have found a way around, and you figure out like how you can improve the solution, and you try to sell it to others. That is all the startup is, man. I think people have been nowadays people are just trying to complicate the whole startup culture. It is not that difficult. The startup culture is basically finding a problem, figuring out the solution, and just presenting it to the world. That's what Airbnb did.
Absolutely.
They try to solve the problem that surround it. Like, they started from a mattress. They didn't even started from a hotel chain or something like that. Most people might think that they started from a hotel chain and they thought that why not do that. But that's not the case. They started from a mattress business, renting mattresses. And then they figure out, okay, people are, they saw that there is a shortage in supply of the hotel and there is high demand for the hotels at the time of the conferences. So they just saw that, yeah, why not find a solution for that, and they rented out their own space. It might be that they rented out it to someone who they knew, right? And they rented out to someone they knew, and they thought that, okay, if I rent it out to this person, next time I rent it out to another person, then why not, just create a business out of it? They were already in a mattress business.
Exactly.
I think the best part for them must be that since they were in the mattress business, renting out mattresses, they must know a lot of people who must be ready to rent out their places.
Oh yeah, true.
Right?
True, because the people who will rent out the mattresses will be the people who will live outside their home.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I'm coming to let's say I have a villa in somewhere in in a village or somewhere, and I say I'm only gonna go and stay there for like a week or two just for fun, and then I'm gonna come back. So what am I gonna do with the mattresses? That's how they did. They rented out the mattresses. They rented out the place where people can sleep, and that's how they figured out, okay, these people are renting these out. That means they have those spaces empty. They can actually rent out those spaces. I like this. I like this, man. How they thought of the idea.
So yeah, Aabhas. So that was my story. I hope you liked it. So let's go on with the another story. I would really love to be intrigued by your story. What do you have?
Oh, my story is not exactly a story. It's the current event that is happening. You
Okay.
know, it also, I'm gonna tell you the story of how it took place and the effect of it on the Indian market and on the global market.
Okay.
So the thing is, I'm gonna talk about the US-China trade war. Okay, most people know about it somehow from the media and all those places. People are talking about it on media a lot. They think that there's going to be a nuclear war or something, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not exactly the case. So, how US-China trade war actually started is a very interesting story.
Okay.
And even though they tried to resolve it, it has not been resolved yet. So, the story is that the trade war was created as an opportunity for India to increase its export to the US. That's what
Mm.
people think, right? But that's
Okay.
not the case. India had nothing to do with it. India took the chances and it is gaining something out of it. It all started in 2018, when US imposed some tariffs on Chinese imports,
Mm-hmm.
citing unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft in China. And China retailed with tariffs on US goods. And two sides engaged in several rounds of negotiation and escalation, but the thing didn't got resolved. So what happened is that these two nations try to go on a war, even though even though in the beginning US has invested a lot in China at the beginning. So what happened is US put all the US companies, big corporations like Apple, all the big organizations like Microsoft, what they did was they invested in China in the early computer age. What China did was just put down a lot of people. They have a lot of manpower, so they put down a lot of people. They created a place where people can send their products. They will assemble those things, and the manufacturing will be easier, simpler, and faster.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened is US figured out that China was not exactly happy with what they were doing, so China had figured out a way out. Somehow US claimed that China is selling their products at a cheap rate to other companies,
Mm-hmm.
and that created a very big issue. So nowadays, what the main point is that China is saying that they are going to acquire Taiwan, and Taiwan has the biggest silicon
Mm.
manufacturing company. As China acquires Taiwan and China rules over Taiwan, it will rule over the world because everything is controlled by the microelectronics. We all need microelectronics nowadays. Even the phones that we have today, all these
Yeah,
things are built upon electronics. And if
absolutely.
Taiwan get acquired, the factory will get acquired, US will be in a very bad position.
Like,
Taiwan is a self-governed island that
mm-hmm.
China claims as its territory, but it is not. The US does not have a formal diplomatic relation with Taiwan, but maintains unofficial ties and provides security assistance under the Taiwan Relation Act it was somewhere in 90s, 70s somewhere. The US also support Taiwan's participation in international organization and opposes any unilateral changes to status quo by the force or any other way. So if China acquires Taiwan, its claims is accepted by the world, US economy will be in danger. So that's why US China trade war is going on that much. And that's why people are trying to, boycott Chinese products.
Mm-hmm.
That's where India comes in. You know,
Okay.
US saw that, okay, China is doing that, then what is the second biggest place where we can, do all the trades? So they saw that India is the place. And because today we have Modi government,
Mm.
Modi took the opportunities, and today many big industries like Apple, Samsung, Foxconn, Western, etc. These industries are moving their plants from China to India.
Oh.
And that's why India in the next 5, 10 years is gonna become a place where most of the manufacturing will be happening for every big company, and all the big companies will be moving from China to India.
Like Apple just moved its one of the factories from China to India, right?
Yeah, it is still in the process, but it is happening. This is something we should be aware of as a startup world, because startups are gonna get a really good advantage by this. People who want to start something in electronic world, electronics is a place where people, take the courses, they learn about it, but at the end they say that, no, I'm not gonna do that because there is no market in India." But now, when the manufacturing plants are getting set up in India, there is a high chance that all the people who have done electronic courses like BTech and BC or everything,
Mm-hmm.
they are gonna be benefiting from this because they are gonna get more and more jobs.
So you're trying to say that there can be another industrial revolution.
Exactly. But this time it will be in India rather than being in US or UK or anywhere else. Every country had a boost in their lifetime. So from they becoming a developing nation to becoming a developed
Developed
nation,
nation.
right? And I think this is going to be the boost for India.
Nice.
Yeah, and this is the time we need to, start more startups. More startups need to get funded by Indian investors, because if the investors from other countries start investing, it's not bad, but the money will be gone to them.
Hmm. Absolutely. Money will be gone out of India.
Yeah.
We
So
we should we should take funding from other people who will like which will inflow the money into India.
yeah, we need to start inflow rather than, promote the outflow.
Exactly.
That's why these Shark Tanks and these barbershop and all these programs that are taking place where they are, investing in Indian startups are actually a really good initiative. And I think more and more these things are gonna take place in the next 5-10 years as soon as this revolution take place.
And like one more key thing which I wanted to highlight, that which you told in your story, that if China acquires Taiwan
Hmm.
and they controls the semiconductors and microcontrollers and everything, they will not only hinder or not only destroy US's economy, but I think it will disturb the world economy.
Yeah, of course, global economy will be disturbed.
Global economy will be disturbed because in today's era which we are living right now, everything out of like 5 out of 10 things are made out of semiconductors.
Exactly. Even our lights are LEDs now, yeah. There
Exactly.
used to be fuse bulbs, but now there are LEDs.
Yeah.
So come on.
So everything, like you can start anywhere, look at anything, and there's semiconductor involved.
There's a possibility of dark ages. People talk about it, people try to ignore the fact that it might not happen, but it is a possibility. So I think India is gonna be prepared for sure, because even now, when the whole market is crashing, there is inflation everywhere, you cannot see much happening in India. When I talk
Hmm.
to people who are in UK or Germany, my friends who are studying outside, they say that, oh my God, I cannot buy stuff. It's really expensive. I
No.
have to wait for flea market to do that. I have to do that. I have to do that. But in India, you don't see that happening.
Yeah,
Indian
that is
economies
happening at a point, but not up to a point that it is not achievable. Yeah,
acceptable, or people cannot adjust to
attainable.
it. Yeah,
Like
attainable.
the things are not that expensive that they are not attainable.
Exactly. I think, this is the time we need to understand that, okay, we need to start getting, we need to start our businesses now.
Hmm.
It is a time where we need to push ourselves to create more and more startups, more and more companies,
Mm-hmm.
get more and more funding to, not just so we can have our own businesses, but so we can provide more and more jobs.
Absolutely. We are gonna need that.
Yeah, because India is, I think it is the greatest,
Largest population.
largest population, right?
Yeah,
India this year we got to know that
exactly, it exceeded China.
it did, and I think this is the right time we need to, get aware that there are not going to be too many jobs if we don't take the time to start something of our own.
Absolutely. And there are many companies, there are many startups who started their own, and they are really good and they are going great. So I was never a big fan of history, but I really loved that story.
Oh, you're
Really,
gonna hate my second story even more then.
oh my God. Okay. I would really try to understand and get whatever I can from those stories. I would really love to know new things. Cool. So I'll go with the next story. As I know, Aabhas, as you are not a great fan of gaming, still, I would really love to share with you a really good insight, which I found really intriguing.
No, I
Like,
like games. I do like games.
you like games? Oh.
Yeah, I like games. Life is playing game with me.
When will you stop?
Never. Okay,
Okay.
continue with the story.
Yeah, I'll continue with the story. So, Abbas, have you watched a movie called Ready Player One?
Of course.
Right? I have
Of
suggested you
course.
multiple times.
Yeah, I saw
So,
that, man. I saw it.
so if you haven't, I would have really judged you.
Of course you
Okay.
had.
So, like, this story came from I got inspired to take that story from that game. And in that game also the main character tells this story. And this is a story about the first Easter egg ever putted in a game. Like, you know what is a Easter egg?
Of course. An
So,
Easter
for
egg is something, that people are gonna use. People don't see, but it
Mhm.
gives some idea of what the next level is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Easter egg can be multiple things in games.
Mm.
Like Easter eggs can be a hidden level, a hidden treasure, or anything you can acquire, or a hidden message. The first Easter egg was a message displayed by the developer which the game was created by Warren Robinett. The creator's name was this, and he was a developer of a game called Adventure, which was a game for Atari 2600. There was a
Okay.
console named Atari 2600. At really old console, it is a really old console.
If you guys don't know Atari, you should actually check it out. It's the beginning of the computer era, where the
Exactly.
personal computers, before the personal computers came, Steve Jobs used to work for Atari.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
he
nice.
created that ping pong game, and where the ball is falling and
Yeah,
you have to level.
Atari.
Yeah, and it was created by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. I,
yeah.
I didn't
You
know.
don't know? It's a
No,
very
no.
great story. That's how, Steve Jobs knew Steve Wozniak.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you read Walter Isaacson's documentary about Steve Jobs, so in that Steve Jobs had the assignment,
Mm-hmm.
and his boss told him that if you create a game, then I'll give you $2,000.
Okay.
And he was like, okay. He said, yeah, yeah, sure. He tried his best to create a game using microcontroller knowledge that he had, but
Mm.
at the end he was failing. Then he somehow realized he knew Steve Wozniak. He called him at I think it was a weekend night,
Mhm.
and he called him, and he came to the Atari office at the night. Steve Jobs used to work at night because of multiple reasons. So he called him, he came, they sat down, they created the game at night. In the morning, he presented it, he got the money, and he gave a portion to Steve Wozniak. And
Oh, wow.
that's when he got to know about the personal computer Steve Wozniak was working on. And that's how Apple got started.
Wow, a story in a story.
Yeah.
We covered another story inside my story. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so coming back to my story, it's really great that I was talking about the Atari 2600 game adventure, which was created by Warren Robinett in 1979. Okay, so what's the story behind it is when Warren Robinett was creating this game, okay, Atari, due to some reason I don't know why, they didn't give credits to Warren Robinett in the game for creating that game. So Warren Robinett was little pissed, and absolutely everyone would be, right? So what he did was he created a secret room in the game, and it was very difficult to find for the players, and it was kind of a hidden wall which players can pass through, which nobody knew. It looked like like same walls as everything else, but when player tried to went through that wall, they can. And in that secret room, he displayed his name, created by Warren Robinett. So
Wow.
it was the first Easter egg to ever being put in a game. It was a simple message, which was like this idea was developed due to some credit issues, that a gaming company didn't give credit to a person who created that game. So he put his name in the game. And like many years later, in the gaming world, the players from the beginning have always been rogues who want to challenge the system, who wants to challenge the game. That they there have been testers since ages. People test the game to its limit. Even now, they
Exploiting the horizons.
exactly exploiting the horizons. They will do anything. Like there are multiple videos where people exploit the game. They want to test its limits, what the game can do. So many years later, for the same game adventure, people exploited its limits and found out there was a hidden Easter egg. So that was the story of the first Easter egg.
Wow. What will a guy do to get credit? Like that's the limit of where a guy can reach to just get his credit. That's how
You
supervillains are born.
you don't give a guy his credit, he will create a secret room.
Yeah, yeah, that's how supervillains are born. I'm telling you.
Like
All the stories.
we both work in a tech industry. I was just imagine
Hmm.
that someone don't give you the credit, then you code extra, you code a whole extra level to get your name into the code, to get to get your name into the system. Like
Nice idea.
nice idea. He worked hard, and he actually did something out of the way, out of the box, and started a whole new era. So yeah.
Nice. I don't have much to say about it except for the fact that what a guy will do to get credit.
Absolutely. So yeah, that concludes my story.
That's amazing story, man. That's amazing story. I think we don't have any takeaways from this story. We shouldn't have any takeaways from this story.
It's just
It's just a fun story.
it's
Enjoy
just a
it.
fun story. Yeah, enjoy it.
But yeah, it is a nice story to know about the history of the gaming world, finding
Absolutely.
out where the Easter eggs actually started. I always thought that it came from this, they have this tradition called Easter where they hide those chocolate eggs and kids have to find them. But
Yeah,
yeah,
the concept was similar.
A
that
concept was similar, but I didn't know this was the story. So it's good to know.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So next is going to be my story, and I think it is going to be the last story we are going to tell today.
Yes.
Right. So it is about two companies that created amazing products, and they were from the same family,
Okay.
but they created a wall between them because of the political opinion and the condition of the world at that time. It is the story of how Adidas and Puma got created. It is a story at the time of World War II. There were the allies and people who were against what Hitler was doing. And
Mhm.
this Adidas and Puma, both the companies got created in Germany itself.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read the details to you from my notes.
Sure.
I hope you guys will enjoy it. So the story begins in 1920s when two brothers, Adolf and Rudolf Desslers, that was
Okay.
their surname,
Okay.
started a shoe company in their mother's laundry room in Germany. The brothers were talented shoemakers, they were good athletes, and since there was not a big brand at that time for creating shoes, they gained a really good reputation. And they started selling their shoes to many athletes who participated in many big competitions like Olympics. And one of their customer was Jesse Owens, an American sprinter who won 4 gold medals and defied Hitler's racial ideology. The brothers were proud of their achievement and hoped that they will expand their market internationally someday. But due to the war, that was not possible at that time. However, things turned so during the World War II when the brothers' relationship deteriorated due to the political difference and personal conflicts. Rudy joined the Nazi party while Eddie was more, apolitical. Rudy was also suspicious of Eddie's wife, whom he accused of being a spy for the other nations. The brothers also had different visions for the future of their company, so they thought that why not, just split. Final straw when the Allies bombed their town.
Mhm.
As the family took shelter in a bunker, Eddie reportedly said, "The dirty bastards," sorry to say this, but "the dirty bastards are back again." Rudy thought he was referring to him and his family. Of
Oh.
course, that could have been the case. Rather than, those planes. He was actually referring to those planes, but he took it personally. He was furious and felt betrayed by his brother. He decided to leave the company and start his own shoe business across the river. So in 1948, the brothers officially split their company and their assets. Eddie named his company Adidas, a combination of his first name and last name. And
Okay.
Rudy named his company Ruda, which later became Puma after he named it after a fierce animal because of his ideology that was more inclined towards the Nazis.
Mhm.
So that's how Puma and Adidas were born. They fought throughout, even today. They have a really big fight, even though Rudy and Eddie both have deceased. But the children and the upcoming generation still maintain that fight. They tried to team they try to sponsor the big athletes and teams of their time, and always there was always a conflict for the teams to which to pick. Either they pick Puma or they pick Adidas. They cannot pick both, and both
Absolutely.
have some products that were good, some products that were not so good. They
True.
even sponsored big they even sponsored big athletes like Muhammad Ali, Maradona, and and the German national football team, of course.
Of
And they
course.
even divided their own town into two different parts, where one were wearing Adidas sportswear, others were wearing the Puma sportswear.
Oh.
But this influence, this fight, that this influence of Nazi culture and this fight led to create two very great corporations, and I should say two big brands.
So,
If this fight would have not taken place, maybe Adidas and Puma would be working together. But do you think they would have created the same quality of products like they do today if they don't have the rivalry?
like, it can be both. According to me, it can be both. Because rivalry also creates a sense of betterment.
Yeah, you
Abbas,
have to keep improving yourself.
what I was saying that rivalry generates a betterment in the product. If we are rivals, let's suppose we are rivals, then I would really try to create a product which is better than yours. I
Yeah,
will get your product, I will reverse engineer it, and I will try to take up the points which are great from yours, and will will
where you
take my
can
product,
improve,
yeah, where
right?
I can improve, and put all those things together and create a new product which will be a better product than yours.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll do the same for you.
Exactly. And at the same time, which I was saying that there can be both scenarios. At the same time, if we were working together, we can create a product with your ideas and my technology. If let's say we have those, you have the ideas, I have the technology, and we combine those, and it will be a great product. Just like multiple companies which acquire other companies or get in a partnership with them to create a much stable and better product.
I agree, but I think the conflict, whenever there is a conflict and whenever there is opposition, you try to be better and try to prove other people wrong. And that is
Right.
a way bigger motivation for improving yourself than anything else.
True. Let's not hope that there should be conflict everywhere.
Yeah,
let's
we
let's
are
try.
people who promote peace.
Absolutely.
Anybody who is listening to this, we already promote peace.
We promote peace and we want there to be peace and
Yeah,
resolve all the conflicts with peace.
yeah. But the takeaway I would like to tell you from this particular
Mhm.
story is that even with the conflict, even at the time of the worst times, you you don't know what will happen that will be good for us or bad for us, right?
Exactly. Because they didn't know. Even the Adidas and the Puma, which were there at those times, they didn't know how much of a big company, how much of a big brand they can become. They just
Exactly.
they just started just like any other small company under their garage or their laundry.
Yeah, exactly. Do you notice that there are a lot of companies who tell their stories that they started from their this business from a garage, from a laundry room, or from very small place. And nowadays, when someone want to start their company, first they think about where will I get my office?
Absolutely. Like nowadays, it have been in a different direction. People see where you live, what do you have, instead of what you are providing.
Show off is become a standard that
Exactly.
people like to use to tell the world that yeah, we are the best, we use the best product, we have the we create the best product, that's why you should buy us.
Absolutely. And I think people are attracted to that. I don't know why.
Actually, even sometimes we are. So it's basically a marketing strategy. Let's not go there.
Let's
Let's
not go
come back to the story
there.
world, the story time.
Yes. So, Abbas, do you have anything else on that?
One more story. One more story
Absolutely.
I
Go
have.
on. Go on. Go on.
I was telling you about that what will be good, what will be bad, right?
Hmm.
So a few weeks ago, I was listening to Jay Shetty again, and
Yeah.
he told a really great story that really touched my heart. So there was a farmer. okay, he had two sons. One was very young and one was old enough to go to, college. So what happened is and he had a horse. So what happened is once his horse ran away.
Hmm.
So people came, people said that so bad happened, we are so sorry for you and all. And he said that who knows, good or bad, who knows what it was for. The time went by, of but they have to do the farm work. So what they did was for plowing the fields, the boys did it on their own, but while doing that, the older boy broke his leg. People came to his house again, said that it's happened, it's so sad, I wish that wouldn't have happened to you. He again said, for good or for bad, who knows? Right? Such an optimistic farmer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, after that, a few days went by, people forgot about it. Then there came a war, and all the guys who were in a good condition were getting, military was taking them away for fighting the war because there were not many militants at that time. So, but farmer's son was not able to go because his leg was broken. And and that's when farmer said, now that is the best news. Because even though the horse ran away, even though you broke your leg, because all that happened, now you don't have to go and fight the war. Your life is saved. So that
At
is,
least you can live.
at least you can live. So that is the thing. You can never, think about how this whole bad situation is going, where the whole bad situation is going to lead you. But at the end, when you see it after 5, 10 years, when you look back at the situation, you'll realize that, okay, if that would have not happened, maybe I wouldn't be here, maybe I'll be somewhere else in a way worse condition that I am in. So that's why you don't know if the conflict between you and your partner is going to lead to something good or bad. If the split of the company is going to create an Adidas and Puma or something that people don't know about.
So, really good connect.
So it's better to take a pause and just live what you have right now.
It all happens for a good reason.
It all happens for a good
Not a good, but it all happens for a reason.
Okay, so that was it from our side. Those were the stories we have been thinking about for a while. We want to tell you all, and in today's week episode, this is all.
And we really hope that you loved our stories. And please do share your stories in the comment section and let us know what we don't know. We would really love to know something more.
Yeah.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, the RoboSapien Podcast.
See you next time. Until then, keep learning and stay curious.